Good morning, good morning, good morning. Due to high demand, we thought it was high time for another Icon Shop tour. So it's right before Thanksgiving. Come on in and I'll show you around so you can see what we're cooking up right now. We are located in Southern California. The town's called Chatsworth, San Fernando Valley. We do all sorts of nuttiness here. Hey girls, we have the whole team here this morning. We got Carly, we got Dita, and we got Birdie. Birdie, come here. Come say hi. Come say hi. So these are our morale boosters. Up here's the showroom. We got a bunch of things. We've got the latest black chrome Thriftmaster done in chalk gray. That's waiting for the transporter to pick it up. We got my 52 Town & Country wagon. We've got a 59 Mercedes Autonauer and a Volvo 1800 ES wagon. And then in the shop, the way we run it is we have dedicated teams for each department. Then we have management team and project managers up here in the front. But basically, if you work on Broncos, you only work on Broncos. That's what you're trained to do full time and on down the line. Here we have my new Bronco. This is a Sasquatch Launch Edition, and I can now finally publicly say how excited I was to be involved on this with Ford. So I was on the design team since 2016, consulting on many different aspects of it, and as is our nature, we are already messing with it. We already fit BF Goodrich all-terrain 35s with the Icon forged aluminum new school wheels. We're going to get the wheel caps on today. We're starting to take different bits and goodies off to scan them, get them into CAD, and do our thing. Here we have a neat assortment. Wow, look at that. It's the perfect trio of Broncos. So we have old school, we have derelict, and then back over here, this nice pewter colored one is a new school edition. So it's kind of a cool opportunity to see all three design packages together. Now they all have the same mechanical engineering and foundation underneath, but obviously the old school is designed to be just far more retro, funky, and fun, really lighthearted. New school's a bit more arg, technical, industrial, man-machine kind of thing. And then the derelicts are basically the ultimate under the radar example. So again, all that crazy chassis engineering, but still the original paint. The interior is redesigned, so higher end textiles and better ergonomics and AC and high-end audio and all that good stuff, but a major sleeper. So unless you know, you don't know. So super fun and really enabling because you're inclined to use it a lot more and not be worried about the first scratch, the first ding. You just whoop on it and go have some fun. These are a blast to build. So this one we're going to be shooting a full video on tomorrow. We're just finishing the final test drive miles and QC, and then it is good to go. This is the FJ production line. We just shipped out a couple units, so there's not too much to show off. This is cool. It's the sand tan color. FJ44, which is the 6-passenger 4-door, obviously. But really cool color combo, and this one again is a new school package build. Over here we have another Icon derelict, coincidentally another blue Icon Bronco derelict, different blue than the one I showed you just a couple minutes ago. But again, original paint, killer patina. This one's still at the stage where you can really see a lot more of the mechanical engineering that's all going to be hidden by the time we get it all built together. But this one's super, super interesting. Doing a fun interior design on this package as well. The rest of the FJ line right now is early phase assembly. As I said, we recently delivered a couple finish units, so then the next wave of them come through. So we've got most of the fabricated, powder-coated chassis components and powertrain over here getting ready to go together. All of this will join that Art Morrison chassis. And then that one's even earlier in process. It's still in the raw metal QC fit check, making sure everything indexes properly. Over here, we've got some Bronco chassis ready to rock, QC'd, final, double check retorqued, waiting on the bodies to catch up. Here you have our beloved electric Mercury coupe. So dual motor, transmissionless design, four-wheel independent suspension, Brembos, electric AC, electric power steering, a dedicated AEM network that controls all of the EV elements to a level much higher than anyone in the industry really traditionally has done. We have full independent thermal management systems for the batteries, for the motors, and for the management system. They each have very unique thermal properties, so very complicated to do, but we're almost done. This is set up with dual charging systems. So here in the back, you can utilize the Tesla chargers or any of the contemporary fast charge systems hiding under the fuel door. So that's sexy port. And then back up front, you can also use what's called a CHAdeMO, which is more of like a municipal system that's out in the market. So it's kind of nifty. That's hiding right back there. So it gives you a lot of flexibility for charging. And there's apps for CHAdeMO too that tell you where the local closest charger is, blah, blah, blah. Some prototype axle housings we're working on for next evolution for FJ, switching to high pinion in the front as well as the rear. I don't know why we have that sign there, but that sign is there. Over here is kind of old school tooling. In the other building, we have CNC and laser and the engineering department. This is mostly one and done hand fab stuff. So for the most part, this is all vintage stuff. So, you know, we've got the Lagoon, we've got two different plasma pattern tables. One's CAD-CAM HD, the other one's super low tech, 1980s aerospace, where you take a white piece of paper and you cut your pattern, you put it on the black optic table, and then it pattern traces and cuts it in metal, which is killer. Other than that, English wheels, planishing hammers, Rotexes, band saws, old Cadillac lathe, bead rollers, grinders, drill presses, media blast cabinets. We love Kaisers, so all of our air compressors are the rotary style Kaisers, so they kick out a ton of air, but nice and quiet. So these were a big expense, but I do not miss the old stinky, rattly ass compressor. What a pain. So this is where like kind of one and done fab is done. If it's something that's a high-end touch point on a vehicle or in production, those are all CAD engineered, designed, wrapped, and then repeated via sublets, mostly from the aerospace industry. Over in this area, this is the D&R department, so derelicts and reformers. We've got some really sexy projects going on right now. This is a build we did several years ago. It's an original paint, I think 1960, Willis Overland. And yes, I said Willis, not Willys. I was informed by a family member. It is the Willis family. The brand was called Willis, but they never told anyone. So anyway, original paint, modern Art Morrison chassis, two-wheel drive, fuel-injected V8, 5-speed, on and on and on. This insane project is a 300 SEL long wheelbase Mercedes 1970. Probably, dare I say, our craziest build yet, but arguably our most subtle build yet. So the extent of engineering and customization on this project is absurd. Get ready for an extremely long format video because there's so much to talk about on this project. It's mind-blowing. So this would have been a unibody vehicle originally. We have converted it to a full ladder frame with four-wheel independent suspension. We're running a dry sump intercooled supercharged LS9, one of my favorite motors that unfortunately has been discontinued by our friends at General Motors in favor of the LT. We've got these crazy ass wheels that I designed and we had the guys at EVOD make. So the idea was to emulate the design of the original rims, obviously upsize them to work with our Brembo Hydro Boost 6-piston calipers. and then chemically etched and aged, and then patina painted for the center cap. So they do, in my opinion, a really nice job of staying under the radar, but now you've got some serious ZR rated meat and a lighter weight wheel with the clearance capacity to allow for copious braking power. You'll notice little details like the polyurea coating. It's obviously an original paint vehicle, but the entire underside of the body, an entirely newly constructed floor pan and mini tubs and rear trunk, everything. All new steel that's then zinc rich epoxy primered, sealed, scuffed, and then polyurea heat coated. This protrusion also is kind of a neat detail. So this is a vented housing for the front speakers. It really improves the audio quality versus just cutting and drilling. Dash pad and all interior trim are original parts that have been re-vacuum wrapped. All of the magnificent wood is original and restored by our partners at Madeira Concepts. You wouldn't really notice at first glance a lot of the things that are going on in this crazy build, but for example, the ignition switch, all the dash knobs, the dash layout, the gauges, the HVAC controls, which although they're not in there yet, are radically redesigned, but very stock looking. So everything down to like the rear speakers on this deck lid, the covers that we designed for these are machined in the same design language as the original Mercedes ones, but we changed the dimensions to accommodate our modern Focal Audio K2 speakers, and then powder coated the aluminum machined parts, but still using the original retro Benz design language. 6.3 was the displacement on these vehicles originally. Couldn't help myself, since we're running a 6.2, we went ahead and took the type and layout design from the original and redid it 6.2. Just a completely batshit crazy cool build. I can't wait to get that one done. Here's some views of the madness that goes underneath and inside. So rear audio, bass assembly, highly modified original steering wheel and steering column, but a flex joint collapsible shaft Borgensen will be integrated into that for safety. More of the wood trim bits, bunch of the vinyl factory bits restored. Hey, there are those speaker grills I was telling you about. The rectangular ones are for the rear. The round ones will be in the front kick vents. And could do like an hour-long documentary just on the console alone. So we wanted to keep the original Mercedes design language, but we wanted to accommodate our new shape, improve ergonomics, add functions such as cup holders, seat heaters, charge ports, and the like. So we laser scanned the original console, we monkeyed and manipulated it, we 3D printed the entire assembly. We added structural aerospace nutserts for all anchor points, a lot of reinforcements, and then the entire surface is put in a chamber heated and vacuum wrapped in the original Mercedes material. So at the end of the day, you're going to have what looks like an original console, but it sure is not. I mean, whatever, I could go on and on and on. It's crazy. Look at the original Becker radio. So it'll appear stock, it'll illuminate like stock, but now it controls a digital sound processor through to the amplifier for a Bluetooth dedicated modern audio experience. But I wanted to really keep the original dash vibe, and I wanted to keep that original tactile interface. So that's that. Unfortunately, the body for this monster is not here, but the chassis is pretty much a sculpture, so it's a good opportunity to show it off. This is a 3-door Suburban that we turned into a 4-door Suburban. I believe it's a 69, I can't remember. Absolutely batshit nutty details, including a mere 1,100 horsepower bi-turbo Dart Block 692 by Tom Nelson. Just an insane motor, tons of power, but won't overheat, idles at 800 RPM in traffic, runs on pump gas. It's just going to be nuts. Full four-wheel independent, one-off custom HRE wheels, massive meats on the rear, staggered profile on the front, TIG welded, mandrel bent, ceramic coated, stainless steel exhaust system, a hyper built 4L85E automatic. This one's going to be super stealth in like a dark gray, green, and black and billet trim details. It's going to be pretty nifty. Over here we have a long development project we've been doing that's pretty exciting. So normally we'll engineer a chassis, axles, pick powertrain, design the wiring harness, and on and on and on. In this case, what we did is we just bought a brand new HD Series 2500 four-wheel drive Chevy pickup, and we rebodied it with its grandfather's body. So I'm pretty excited. We're still trying to get through all the electrical complexities, because when you modify a vehicle that modern, everything is talking to everything. And we could cut corners, but I want to keep every little perversion of modernity. So cylinder deactivation, ABS, hill hold, all of the tons of little nuances of the modern truck. We're really gonna get there, almost there. We're tricking the operating system to believe it is still a stock new Chevy truck and to not know it's rebodied with its granddad's body. So we're redesigning the interior once we get through this test phase to integrate ease of service by using all of the stock touch point and gauge modules from the modern Chevy truck, but we'll redesign them to be in keeping with the vintage aesthetic of the C20. So this is in what we call the Mule phase, where we basically have the chassis modded, everything together. We haven't executed our redesigned wheels. We're going to put a couple thousand miles on it. Once we get through all the software, know everything's communicating and working as it should, then we'll tear it apart, make it pretty, put it back together the third time. Last but not least, we have our lovely Thriftmaster department. That's where we do the 47 to 53 Chevy pickups. We offer those new school, old school, or derelict. We also are doing 3 windows and 5 windows. Thus far, they've all been 2-wheel drive, either solid rear 4-link independent front or 4-wheel independent. I'm dying to build one 4-wheel drive, but no one's taken me up on that yet. There's a rendering on the website if you want to see what they'd look like. This one's super cool. Incredible body integrity. So this one got reserved for a derelict style build. Right now we're prepping and modding the dash and other body components while concurrently building out the chassis. This client had the wisdom to go with the upgraded sport chassis, so he's getting the 4-wheel independent suspension. He also did a 6-speed, long-lived 3 pedals. We don't get to see as many manual trainees being built as I'd like to, but I noticed specifically, well, I think across all models it's growing, but with the Thriftmaster, for some reason it's really growing. We're doing a lot of them. This is another derelict one that's in process. This is a good example of a whole lot's got to go down to make it look like we did nothing. So while on the exterior it is the original paint, the inside shell of the body, inside surfaces, underside, all get stripped down, treated, primed, epoxied, polyureaed, or sound deadened and caulked. So you still get that refinement and the noise and vibration isolation while keeping the, I mean, some people get it, some people don't, but keeping the original patina. This truck's got the coolest brown-green, funky patina situation. And obviously, therefore, it is to be built as a derelict and a derelict only. In fact, the client owned this truck, which was kind of super cool. So he brought it to us specifically to build a derelict. And usually when people do that, trucks can be pretty rough and they don't realize the integrity needed. But in this case, the truck was the absolute ideal candidate. So that's it. That's your Icon Shop tour. I thank you for your patience. Obviously, during COVID, Doing shop tours has been a bit difficult. We're a little understaffed today. A bunch of guys are out for the holidays. Didn't take you into the parts and engineering building, but basically it's parts and machines. So there you go. I'll see you on the next one. Really appreciate your support.